Hello everyone and welcome back to Carpenter Station. Apologies about the low frame rates. I've tried everything I can so far to actually sort it out. I'm also still using the slightly derpy texture pack, which has these weird kind of oddities such as with birchwood. Predominantly because of the slight glitch on the download link on BDcraft, but that is probably for another time. So what we are doing today, well, the first thing we're going to do is going to check out the unseen room, because I have shifted a lot of stuff over into here. It now has a name, the Diamond Factory, and here is a slightly condensed version of what you saw in our testing out room last time. So we've got a bit of a power going in here for all the machines, its own little generator. We've got the crafting tables, the compressors, the macerator. In that back corner is the third crafting table used to make coal, and we've got an electric furnace over here with a little auto system here to turn logs into charcoal. So that's kind of the full system. It's a little bit larger than it possibly could be, but I don't really lose all that much by having it be slightly inefficient in scale. And the whole thing is controlled by this one timer here, which I can probably speed up, but oh well, not a huge problem. The system doesn't really move quickly at the moment because I haven't upgraded all the machines. These pneumatic pipes, and there is a third one under here, are going to be going into a system that I'm planning on putting on sort of like a general item delivery system throughout the station. So I'll colour logs one particular colour and I'll pump them into the system and they'll go into there and stuff. But that's more or less what we're doing today, actually, is logs. Because the huge thing that you need for this kind of diamond making system is wood. Specifically trees. And we have our little tree farm over there, but it's completely manual, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to go demonstrate a few things I've already got set up. I happen to know there's a tree growing in what I need to show you guys, so at least that makes it functional. I went around with my backpack and lit up a few of these illuminators, so you can just kind of see the difference that having things being lit makes. Still looking for a solution on those. I hear a lot of people saying that I should, flax, that's important for us today. I hear a lot of people saying that I should just switch over to using lamps. It requires a fair bit of glowstone, and I'm not particularly wanting to go in the nether all that soon. Perhaps slightly more importantly, it also requires that I have a light system in the place that's like completely free. I'm not a huge fan of completely free for this series. So the illuminators are nice on that notion because they provide me with good light, and there is, of course, I suppose the backup light systems, but those provide me with the absolute minimum for this to be like practical. Let's see if I just cut away these. I had to make a separate iron chest now for these leaves because I just get so many of them. I need to find some use for them. Decoration, maybe. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have a pneumatic tube on the side here, with a bat box over here. There's empty space here. It's fully charged. It's been running off of a thermopile that's down there. Yeah, fully charged. Thermopiles are good because they don't need sunlight, which is good in a wintry biome with all the snow going around. And that's 8, that's good. You can maybe tell what I'm going to be doing based on some of my inventory here. But we have this constantly firing, or it should be if it hadn't picked up something it didn't have a place to put. There we go, just a log. We can save that for now. Okay, so that's a transposer, which is constantly firing to pick up any and everything that falls in front of it, to deliver into a block that goes down here, which is a sorting machine. And the sorting machine is going to be colouring logs and leaves and whatnot into different colours, so they'll go into different places, but the saplings are going to come up here into an assembler, which is sort of a new thing as far as my red power experiencing goes. But let's see, what we're going to need to make today is a couple of paintbrushes of 2 different colours, a pulse former, and an assembler along with a bunch of coloured wires. So first thing I'm going to need is a couple of paint cans, which make from tin plates, which you kind of get from smelting together tin and iron. And I just need 2 of these. And let's see if how on earth do I use these again? As I say, I'm new to this. There we go. That's how I get the colours into them. So that's where the flax seeds come into. So, flax, which you get from just punching random stuff, as we saw last episode. And I have my 2 colours. I have white with bone meal, and I have brown with cocoa beans, which I thankfully managed to get from Dave. I kind of owe him 5 UU matter, but he's not exactly like in dire need of it there. So there we go. There's brown paintbrush. That's got a durability. I thought it was going to get used up. That's interesting. Learn something new every day. And there's our white paintbrush. One of these brushes then have durability as well. Yep, there is all of the leaves I've collected so far. And dupe. You can use just the regular old oak tree saplings for this system that I'm designing here, but as they have a tendency to branch, it's not 100% effective. Let's see, what am I going to need? Well, I've got my bundled cable here. Some brown, I'll need these for later. Bit more pneumatic tubes I could use. And let's see, I need to make a sorting machine. So, what are we going to need for a sorting machine? I guess a couple of people wondered, yeah, this is my skin at the moment. It's my Halloween skin, the Cyborg Scientist. Okay, so recipe: 5 iron, 2 red doped wafers, a filter, and a blue alloy ingot. That shouldn't be too hard to find, should it? So, blue alloy, the red doped wafers. We need a filter, don't we? So, let's quickly look that up. I believe that's basically a transposer, but using gold in place. Yep, we have another red doped wafer. And a piston. Yay, pistons! I should probably make those in bulk. I did make a new sapphire sword, because this one's running out. Eventually I'll probably upgrade to a nano saber. But they do take a fair bit of stuff. Okay, I'm going to need some gold. No, that's the tool chest. Eventually I'll probably just have like a transposer coming in from the well, not a transposer, a retriever aimed at the storage room. So I'll just put whatever one I want into that, and it'll work fine. Okay, so 5 iron for the piston. No, that's not 5 iron for the piston. That's 5 iron for the. One of these. I'm losing track already. It's a bit late at night, and the tea hasn't kicked in. But we are going to need a piece for the piston. That's a fun word that you can say on the internets, and no one will call you out for it. Now, actually, rubber only gives you 3 logs. We can use that as a quick shortcut. There we go. No excess. Hooray! And we have a lot of gravel. It takes 8 gravel to make a diamond. That's something else we're going to have to sort out later. Okay, and over to here. I don't need to check on the recipe for this, because I've made it so many times. Albeit, maybe not as many times as I'd like. Inside the nether. Okay, and there's a piston. Hulk that in. Upgrade this to a project table, because now it has an inventory that sticks around. Which is handy, because it means that I can forget things a bit more often. And I'm very liable to forget things. But here we are. Okay, and there is our filter. And let's see, then it's that. There. And I believe it's then just the 5 iron. And that gives us our sorting machine. Now, inside of our sorting machine, we are going to need some logs and saplings. And that's going to determine where the different pieces go. So let's go plug this in. Again, sorry about the lag. It's a lot worse near spawn, but yeah, it's not fantastic here either, I can't. Okay, so this goes there. Nice and flush. Okay, yep, fully charged. Not a problem there. So we want logs to go to brown, if we can find it. There it is. And we want saplings to go to white. And let's see, we have our white paintbrush. Here's a test. Does it have durability? It does. That's interesting. Makes perfect sense, but interesting nonetheless. Okay, so what we're going to need to do now is find the assembler. Lovely. You can just quickly type in there. So that's going to take a deployer, some of our bundled cables, a red dot wafer, some iron, and some brass. We already have a fair bit of brass on stock. On stock, in stock. Yeah, I would be much happier with wider doors, but we live in a station, so. Whoop. Okay, I'll be back in a moment when I've sorted this out. Right, sorry about that. Apparently I lost connection to the server briefly. But I believe we were making an assembler. So, what do we have in here that we can use for that? Well, we need to make another red doped wafer, which is going to require a spot of redstone. Thankfully, I went on a big excursion and found some more. But I'm trying to keep our resources as low as they can be. And just a couple of saplings will do this. There was the suggestion that I should use saplings to make biofuel cells, which are completely renewable, well, with the exception of a piece of coal, of a few pieces of tin every now and then. But I'm hoping to focus more on the coal fuel cells, since we can generate coal. As long as we have that one lonely philosopher's stone, we can still generate coal. So I'm hoping to just use that. I'll have a separate system for that somewhere around the station. Okay, so iron, brass, a deployer. Brass, I believe, is in the next chest over. Now, the deployer is an interesting one because it's a device that Gar is somewhat fond of. It basically right-clicks whatever it's in its inventory. An assembler is sort of an upgraded version of that because it has either a sequence. You can program a sequence of things to put it in. So if Gar was using this in his tree farm, it would be sapling, bone meal, over and over. But we are going to be using it on its color-coded format, so we can pick whatever we want to choose. And now we need to make a deployer. So I need to get that recipe up. And you end up with all sorts of stuff when you're just like searching random things. Another piston. One thing I'm quickly realizing is that I may need to have a separate project table, because I always seem to end up making 2 or 3 different recipes at a time. But, oh yeah, we have 5 diamonds. The diamond factory itself has made a few, which is nice to know. But it takes a fair bit of time just because they're all the lowest possible level machines that they could be. Did that the wrong way around. So I may be upgrading those once we actually have like a more stable power supply. I'm just gonna check actually. Yep, this has finally died out. Yep. Yeah. I put a fuel can filled with a few hydrogen. There should be hydrogen. So a few coal fuel cells into that a little while ago, and it burned for absolute yonks to the point where that bat box was overflowing with power. So once I upgrade the power storage, I'm definitely going to be enjoying fuel cans. And I kind of like the idea of using the fuel cans as well, because that seems more in keeping with our particular location. Let's dump these out. I can fill them in later. Yep, covalence dust. We're not touching that. As I say, it's hard to fully avoid the magic when you're trying to make a renewable kind of setup, but I am trying to absolutely minimize it where possible. So let's see, we need a chest. That's enough a recipe to make, and 6 cobblestone. At least they're easy. Okay, and another piece of redstone. Apparently, you have to have a bit more wiring to get to the piston inside. We need to take this out momentarily. There we go. Deployer. Dispensing product. Okay, and that gets us our shiny golden assembler. If you've been watching YZ's videos of Tekkit, you've probably seen me tinker around with this design that I'm building here. Okay, then. Apparently we have a zombie around as well. It's probably under the struts. Okay, so we put our assembler there, and that is what gives us our different our sapling or our bone meal, because the system can use bone meal. It does so more or less as and when it wishes, and that's there for a purpose. Oh, and he's wandered outside. Poor him. Okay, so inside we have this GUI, and this is if you just want it to be going through a sequence of things as you send pulses to it. So if you put a timer next to it, it will iterate, which means move along through this signal every time the timer pulses. But what we want is this. We want the color code. And I'll be filling that in once we've got everything else up. We now need a pulse former, a EU injector, and ideally another chest so that thing can stop worrying about where to shove things, a transposer. So, let's see, that I shall explain what I've got over here then. This is an electrolyzer, and if you stick a water cell on that with a lot of power, you get these over time. And you've probably seen me, you may remember me fiddling around with these at the end of the last Anaver expedition episode, because they're used for force fields. Well, they're also like a power storage thing, but they're mostly used for force fields. So let's bring up the recipes. Yep, tube force fields, area projectors, directional force fields, which is what we're interested in, MFS deflectors, EU injector, and a force field core. Now these are the two that we need to make today. That is a core extender, but we're not going to need to worry about that too much. So what we need is to smelt some stone. Just smelt 8 because, hey, it's nice and even. Could be 10, I suppose, but we're not that hard plussed for fuel at the moment. In fact, we actually have more coal than we have charcoal for once. So I could just hurl that stack of charcoal, that stack of coal into our machine part way through, and it would make a diamond. And I actually managed to, if you follow the Tekkit Reddit, you'll have noticed me posting up a picture of that setup with mild alterations because I built that version in my test world. I did a lot of math on what it takes to make a diamond industrially, quote unquote, because there is the Philosopher's Stone in the mix. Oh yeah, it's my throat getting a bit dry. It's winter, so that happens a fair bit. I actually worked out the power costs, and it's a little over 156,000 EU to go through the process with electric furnaces and macerators and the 2 compressors. That's base levels, no overclockers. That's how much power it takes. And if everything was happening one after the other rather than consecutively or simultaneously, that happens a lot in that system, it will take about 54 minutes to make a diamond from all of it. But that's not a huge problem. And once you upgrade it, it gets a lot faster, obviously. But the bulk of the time and power actually goes into the smelting, because you have to smelt 256 instances of wood. But yeah, I'm going to be upgrading that after a while. Okay, and that's to get our... This will get us our little stone wafers, which we can then use to start making our pulse former. So let's take a quick look at our pulse former. There it is, it's one of the red power circuitry blocks. You need a stone anode, 3 stone cathodes, and 2 stone wires. Let's see, I believe this makes, 4. So that's enough for us to get started on that. Doop. that should be all of the redstone that we need. We're going to need a bit more sticks than that. Okay. Torches. Weavers. That gets us our stone cathodes. We'll keep that one spare, because we need one spare. Okay. Need a wider one for this. Yep, something wandering around outside. And I've miscounted, because to make the anodes we actually need one more piece of redstone dust. There we go. Just while we're here, stick that back in. Okay, so see if I can remember this off the bat, shall we? There we go, there's our pulse former. And the pulse former in this system is associated with how we let the machine know when a tree has grown. And that's related to the timer that you've seen sat in front here, because if there is a sapling here, then whenever this timer pulses, nothing happens. But if there is a wooden block, like when a tree has grown, and that's an interesting sight to see. I'm sure a creeper hasn't just come along and stolen the end wall there, but okay. But when there is a solid block, like a wooden log, the current passes through into this pulse former, into this block, it sends its brief pulse into this block, which has some red wire underneath, which is triggering our vertical force field. And that is going to need some power, so that's why that's over there. That's our next thing, is making our force field stuff. But very quickly, I'm just going to make a little extension there. Oh, except I can't, because I'll have to pass through the white. So I actually need to put it more like down here. I'll be moving this later. What's down here? Oh good, just a support. And this will be where the room decides to cave in. These blocks, in case you're wondering, are concrete, which means they're made as part of railcraft, which is why we have the rolling machine. And they're made from iron and stone. They're fairly resilient, they're blast resistant. Most of the station is, with the exception of this cobblestone ceiling that you keep seeing. Okay, we just need another chest. I've just got that random chest down there, just for when I was going over to see Wisey. Just jammed all my stuff in there. Whoop. That's not what I want to be making, is it? That'll be a crafting table, Tim. There we go, there's a chest. I can upgrade that later. But for now, it's just going to be storing our logs. Yeah, I don't know why the lag is so tremendous today, because I was getting a reasonable 20-30 frames when I wasn't recording. But every time I decide to hit record, it just leaps down. And goes to this minimalistic number you see. And this is still not outputting. Question being why. Come on, what have you found? Apparently nothing. How very odd. But then transposers can be a little funky. There it goes. All happy and cheery. Right. So, because we are colouring the logs brown inside the sorting machine, they can only go through these pneumatic pipes that are coloured brown, such as into this chest, or later on into our item delivery system throughout the station. Because the saplings are painted white, they can't go through here. They have to go to something that has a white, namely the assembler. There's going to be another assembler and another pulse former here for the next one along. So they'll come in here. I'll also be painting bone meal white on its way into the system, and they'll be selected for whenever we want to pulse our system to start planting another tree. So we now need to get on to work with our force fields, which means we need a force field injector. We're not going to need to put too much power into this system because the force fields are only active for like a brief moment. Okay, so we need a bat box. I don't think I have any one of those spare, as it happens. Nope, so we're gonna have to make a bat box. Right, that requires some RE batteries. Okay, well, we can make that. We have the cheapness for that. Actually gonna need all these. Okay, this episode, however, is running a little bit long. So the next episodes we're going to pick up from here, and I shall catch you then. Bye!